Wrote my sister Rose. Rose and I were 4 years apart, but as time went by, those years melted away. When we were younger, I was her tag-along sister. One day, even following her to a friend's birthday party that I found utterly boring. She and her friends would tell each other secrets from which I was utterly excluded, and I can only imagine what they whispered to each other. All this faded away when we grew older and we became close friends. When Rose and Bert lived in Pittsburgh, I lived with them while attending the School of Social Work at the University of Pittsburgh. She and Bert made it possible for me to earn my MSW. Bruce was born during this period, and I had my first introduction to early childhood development. During World War II, Charlie and I were married, but held steadfast in not becoming an Army camp follower. When Bert and Rose left for New York, I lived alone while I worked in Pittsburgh. Rose was gifted in many ways. As a child, she excelled in ballet dancing. In her early grades, she exhibited a gift for creative writing and frequently helped me with my English assignments, especially with poetry. She was always an honor student and later took advanced courses in dress design. She was an accomplished seamstress, designing and sewing clothes for Anne, which were later handed down to Rachel. Rose and I remained in close touch throughout our adult years, talking on the phone frequently when visiting became difficult due to the distance. The last few years of her life were difficult ones for us as telephone conversations were no longer possible. However, I shall always think of her as the talented, beautiful, ebullient person that she was throughout her life. I deeply miss her. And I just have to say, I was the only kid in school that wasn't allowed to buy clothing in the store. And I couldn't wait to grow up and be able to buy my clothing. And now, of course, I wish that I had paid attention and I could sew as well as she does. Now I know how beautiful those clothing were.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember some of the things in the boxes from you.
Yeah.
I remember one dress in particular with purple flowers on. It was a summer sundress, with straps like this, and sort of a full skirt like we had in those days. And it was white with the purple flowers on it. It was gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. I loved it.
Yeah. Everything was made just perfectly.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And this is from Sarah. As a grandchild, your grandparents aren't really people, but mythical adult-like creatures who love you unconditionally like your parents, but are magically more fun, more generous, and more interesting. Because of this, they can be the most important people in your life that you actually know and understand the least. But I don't mind. I rely on others to fill me in with the facts and nuances while I remember her through a grandchild's eyes. While Rose and Bert lived in New York, I remember watching Rosie swim laps in her thick white rubber bathing cap embossed with flowers, smelling like Clinique sunscreen. I remember being allowed to fly across country to visit them when I was 9. Rosie took me across the hall to play gin rummy with her and her friends, let me watch Golden Girls with her in her bed, and made me feel super grown-up and independent, though I'm sure she watched me like a hawk. When they visited us in California, they'd stay in Laguna Beach and invite me to spend some nights with them there. We'd watch movies rented from the hotel lobby, and I'd help host my parents and brothers when they'd come to visit us. When Rose and Bert moved to California, their apartment became my second home. When my family would go to dinner, I'd usually sleep over on their sofa bed. Rosie would tell me stories of Grandma Sarah and Aunt Jean, and shared gossip about her neighbors. She taught me how to use her special electric typewriter, how to use her sewing machine, and let me fill in usually incorrect answers to her New York Times crossword puzzle on Sunday morning. Once Bert taught me how to drive on the Leisure World Autobahn. I used to come by after school to hang out. Rosie and I would take walks in the neighborhood. We'd run errands. I'd do my homework at her dining room table, and she'd give me a 30-year history of all the characters and plots in General Hospital. While we watched it together in the afternoon. During the struggle for independence in my senior year of high school, I ran away from home straight to Rose and Bert's house. I remember Rose and Bert at most of our orchestra concerts and school performances. After seeing shows on Broadway and at Lincoln Center for most of their lives, I'm sure those shows were quite the treat. Perhaps because they used to live far away before they came to live near us, we got used to their presence, but never forgot how special and unique it was to have them around. Because I was lucky enough to be the oldest, not just my childhood, but my young adult memories are filled with moments spent with Rose and Bert. Now with them both gone, I reflect on what a wonderful, priceless, life-changing thing it was for me to spend so much of my life with them around, and how much emptier my life will always be with them gone.